So, Nick, one of the most important resources as professionals is our attention. Attention to focus on the right thing and continue to move the project forward. But what I have realized is that as we continue to progress throughout our career, we get asked to do a lot of things that may or may not be relevant to our career progression by our network, by our colleague, by our immediate supervisors. So one of the criteria is that I read it from the book somewhere that if when you encounter being asked to a project and your immediate reaction is not an immediate hell yes, I definitely want to do it, then you should say no. What do you think of this tactic slash criteria?
I think you've been reading Jeffrey Pfeffer. uh, but that concept goes. Let me pick three off the bat. Okay, Ray Dalio, Pfeffer, Cialdini. All of them will say something along the lines of, "No is a precondition to a meaningful yes." Not saying that you're automatically defaulting to no, but the point being you should be conscious about why you're saying yes to a certain thing.
So let's step back. What is really at stake here when we, should have said no but did not?
So let's first define what a yes is. So a yes, let's look at like you would look at it in terms of elements, is a commitment to devote your asset, your scarcity, your time or focus to somebody else, which means you're giving over your agency to the will of somebody else.
It's a commitment, yes.
Yeah. So why is it that we would not want to say yes? Let's start with the negative first, right? You already started with scattered focus, number one. Loss of agency, number two. Or lack of leverage, number three. Let's start with scattered focus because that's the easiest one, where I'm sitting at a desk and I suddenly get half a dozen emails from 6 different people, all asking a variation of the same question. And I know that, number one, they're all in a meeting together. Number two, none of them maybe have the next step in mind, but I know that I don't have the context of what they're asking for. I don't know if it's a priority. I don't actually know if they even need the question that they're asking me, or if it's just a whim of something that they heard a speaker talking about. So then the question is, does devoting my time to answering each of these individual people in their own individual and specific way, or variation of the question, actually, number one, mean anything to them, or number two, move some sort of organizational goal, right? So why is it that we would actually say no to something like that? Because it's scattering your focus to things that may not be relevant. Number two, because immediately answering gives up your agency, meaning you are now no longer acting even according to the principles or goals of your organization. You're just acting on the blind whim of whatever ask is happening. It's a long story short, it's a method to failure. And number three, you're giving up leverage. By leverage, I mean your relevance and your reputation. If you just simply blindly respond to every single ask, people don't look at you as a scarce resource. They look at you as a machine.
And like ChatGPT, the lesser version, less perfect version of ChatGPT.
Worse, because people blindly trust the machine more than they blindly trust people.
So what is the right way to say no? Because your network, right? People will, if you are good, especially in an organization, just purely based on reputation, people will reach out to you for a variety of things. And people will ask you for, hey, will you volunteer your time? Would you come join this committee? And some of those people are quite powerful and influential in your organization, which means that the delivery methodology matters. So what is the right way to say no?
Well, you're making the assumption that you need to say no. First, you should ask whether or not you should say no.
Mm-hmm.
So
how do you know that when you should say no?
So you remember my rules on whether or not you should do something. Is it legal? Can you sleep at night? Can you tell your mom about it?
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with saying no or saying yes. number one, does it align with the principles or objectives that I have,
Mm-hmm.
both as an agent and as an employer, an associate in an organization? There's going back to project management. At the very top of each document, you should be putting the principles and the mission of whatever project you're working on. And whenever you look at something, you look at what you're talking about in the meeting that day and say, this doesn't move the needle on what we say we're trying to do. So either we need to change what we say we're trying to do, or we shouldn't be doing it. Number two, does it build durable leverage? So going back to Pfeffer, in terms of leverage, we're talking about your relevance. Is it something that is meaningful to the person who's asking for it, right? Does it help your reputation? So you're looking at both the extrinsic side and the intrinsic side. Does it change your perception of yourself and other people's perception of you to do so in a positive way? You kind of want.
Positive.
I'm going to make the
yes.
assumption that you want things to be positive. And number two, are we doing this because there is an actual need or simply because there's social pressure? So why do I say yes to Fun Shirt Fridays?
Because it's fun.
Okay, so there's a real need there.
Yes.
Because you're exhausted, it's Friday, you're going to have it. But am I defining myself based off of an actual need to have fun, or am I just doing it because everyone else is doing it? Are you jumping off a cliff? And if you can answer on those lists, then negative on that list, then maybe you should say no, right? And this goes back to, conditions for getting to agreement.
So I think this is a very important goal, and I want to reiterate it. So the three things: can I tell my mom? Can I call my mom and tell her about it? Can I sleep at night? And the third one is...
Well, I was just giving you another example of like putting decisions into framework. Yes or no? Should you be willing to do something?
Right.
And in this case, let's just call this the yes checklist. Does it align with my principles? Does it build a durable leverage, meaning value for yourself? And then, is this a real need, or is this just a whim or social pressure?
But how do you, those are all very good criterias,
Uh-huh.
but they are it requires thoughts. It requires thinking.
It requires practice.
So how do you practice?
Well, you can start being deliberative, stopping and thinking when you get a request, just stack rank them. Or you rank the requests not in the order that they come in the order of priority. People do this all the time in terms of prioritizing their time. Well, you are subconsciously making that a yes checklist. You already should be doing this to some degree, subconsciously or even consciously. But you should be doing it for just about every ask and building that behavioral model into your reflexes.
So let's just assume that, okay, there are 10 requests coming in. 6 of them did not pass the checklist, right? It's not meaningful. It does not build me leverage. It's not a line of what I think, the version of me in my head versus, if I do this, the person that I will become. Then how do you say no? What is the appropriate way of saying no?
Well, number one, caveat, depends on the people you're talking to. Number two, you can look at saying no a couple of different ways. Number one, being transparent while being respectful and by offering alternatives. So number one, transparency. I understand what you're asking. I am unable to, or I cannot do that because I have this other priority. Okay, great. You need me to run numbers on, say, a unit forecast over the next quarter. Okay, I understand that's important, but right now I have to, we have a stock out issue in store 138 in somewhere, Oklahoma, and I need to clear off whatever. I'm not actually in replenishment, so I don't know how they actually talk. But giving this person an understanding that you value what it is that they have that they need, but that there are other needs that are prioritized. And then alternative. I can support you with something that maybe, let's say it's a deeper initiative. I can't directly help you with this. Something I'm working on may be able to support you that I'm already doing that may provide value to you, and I can support you with that. Giving them an opportunity to understand that you value and you're willing to provide something, but that it's not something that you're capable of actually solving for them.
I also think that there is a courage element in here. It requires courage to, especially in the professional setting, to say no to someone, because when you say no, right, however respectful that you might be, you're risking of being disliked, because you're telling other people essentially that, hey, I understand that this ask is important to you, but something else that I'm doing is more important.
Look at the bags under my eyes. Yeah. That comes from saying yes a lot.
That's just very vivid.
It depends on how you want to be perceived. And number one, offering alternative solutions. I can't do this for you. Let me find someone who can. I have this other priority ask, but here's a resource with which you can do this yourself or find someone else who can. You're not saying no. You're finding this person an alternative. You don't flat out saying no. Yeah, even in the sugariest of ways is never going to be looked upon as an endearing trait.
Yes. So let it soften the blow by providing
It's
alternative.
not softening the blow. It's helping that person get to their goal while understanding that you're not the person who's best situated in order to do that. It happens all the time. Right? Who doesn't get questions all the time that have nothing to do with your actual work? You don't just ignore them, right? You say, I don't know anything about fill in the blank, but I know someone who on the second floor who does. Let me give you their contact. And if they're not able to do it, they probably know someone who will. That's easy. That's 5 seconds. People do it all the time. It's structuring it in a way that helps that person to achieve their goal, even if it isn't something that you can contribute to.
So let's just say that our initial evaluation criteria is wrong, right? We have to slowly walk back. Turns out the things that we say no to is actually somehow important to our career progression. So in that case, what is the best way to softly walk back to the no and transition that into a yes? I know that doesn't happen very often, but let's just say that, it happens sometimes.
Then you better fix it fast and over deliver. Not flip it. No, yeah, over deliver. You've already crossed that line where you said no to something you should say yes to. Now you have to solve that problem and do it in a way that makes you look like a hero. And not for your own sake, for that other person's sake, because you've just put them at a disadvantage.
Can you get into more about over deliver? I know that it means exceed expectation, but in the project setting, right, where it's cross-functional collaboration, and then let's say that you are given a second chance. Like, what does over delivery means?
That's an excellent question. It means coming up not just with assistance in a problem, but hopefully, let's say, a complete solution.
So take on more responsibilities than you expected to, and fulfill that responsibility in a way that is pleasing.
Absolutely. Think about it in terms of your children. I was just
Keep going.
in preparation for this discussion, I sat down with my daughter, for which she was asking, well, what if I was watching TV and you asked me to do homework? And I said, well, you'd have to prioritize which one of those things is more important to you. She goes, oh, okay. What if I watched TV anyway? I said, and in the morning you didn't have your homework? I said, well, in that case, you better, number one, hurry up and do your homework. And number two, when you get home the next day, already have your homework done, show it to me, and then clean my bedroom for me. She didn't buy the bedroom part, but she understood the idea of, on the next iteration, I not only have to meet expectations, I have to exceed those expectations. I mean, in her case, having the solution before I even asked.
So today we talk about what is really at risk of saying no in a professional setting, what is the criteria in saying no, and how do we softly walk back when our initial judgment was wrong in the first place. What is the one key takeaway that you want the audience to know?
That your default shouldn't be yes. Your default should be to understand why that yes is important. And in doing so, if it turns out to be a no, understanding that that person still has a need and trying to help them to reach that conclusion.